What's going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to be taking a look at round number 2 of our recent League Cup in High Point, North Carolina. We got a great match here for you guys. On the left we have Evan Campbell, who is playing a Vespiquen Espeon GX deck. Very, very cool, unique idea here. And then on the right we have Anthony Nimmons, who is playing a Mega Mewtwo deck. And looks like we're going to get things started, and it looks like Evan is going first, which is very important for him in this matchup. He's got a big hand, so it looks like Anthony might have taken a couple mulligans maybe, but he's going to start things off here with an Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Sycamore and a Lysander, and we'll see what he grabs here. Maybe a Combi, maybe an Eevee, maybe a Shaman to refill his hand. We'll see what he ends up going with. And he looks like he does just get an Eevee, which is the same thing he ended up starting with. He did have a Psychic Energy in his hand, so he will be able to go back in with Energy Evolution and get an Espeon in play immediately on the very first turn. Very, very strong ability, of course, and yeah, good to see that from him, getting that out right here on the first turn. And unfortunately for Anthony here on the side, he did start with his one copy of Hoopa EX, which is definitely pretty unfortunate. Definitely not something you want to start with. You want to use your Hoopa to get your EXs all set up, and yeah, just didn't work out for him here. Looks like Evan is Ultra Balling away a Force of Giant Plants and a DCE. Two pretty important resources here, and he's actually going to grab another Eevee with this, I guess. Just valuing the Espeon a lot in this matchup. Of course, Espeon's Psychic attack does 60 damage, plus 30 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And Mega Mewtwo EX, of course, Mewtwo's attack requires a lot of energies, so because of that, Espeon is able to one-shot Mewtwo pretty easily. With just 2 energies on it, Espeon is able to one-shot a Mega Mewtwo due to the weakness to Psychic. So we did see Evan get off a Sycamore for a clean 7 cards, so nice there. And an Ultra Ball coming out. This is his third Ultra Ball, which can be one of his main ways of discarding Pokemon without Battle Compressor in the format, of course. Looking at his deck here, it doesn't look like I see any Ultra Balls, or any Acrobikes as I was looking through his deck there, so I suppose really just relying on the evolutions to increase his damage output. You know, the Flareon with Flare Effect to make all of his Vespiquens Fire type, the Vaporeon with Aqua Effect to make all of his Vespiquens Water type, and we do see him bench a Klefki, definitely something that's going to be useful later on down the road, and a pass on to Anthony's turn. Let's see what he's able to get going here. Unfortunately, did start his copy of Hoopa EX, definitely something he didn't want to do. Does get a Floatstone down on it, so he will be able to retreat, and we just see a Sycamore there. It looks like he had a Spirit Link and an N as well, and a Mega Turbo. So he could have chosen the N, but I think Sycamoring here is fine. Just want to dig and try to set some stuff up. Now, the Espeon is definitely something that's very, very scary on Evan's side of the field, but if Anthony here can build up a Mewtwo pretty quickly and maybe on the next turn get a Lysander knockout on the Espeon over there on Evan's bench, that will be good for him for sure. So we'll see what he goes for. With this Ultra Ball, he could grab a Shaman EX to draw some more cards, but he also could just grab a Mewtwo EX, get an energy attachment, and be content with that. Normally, of course, he would like to use this first Ultra Ball to grab a Hoopa EX to use the Scoundrel Ring ability in order to search out 3 Pokemon EX, setting up his bench very nicely, but unfortunately for him, he did have to start his one copy of Hoopa. Now, Anthony also is playing Garbodor, which could potentially be a factor, shutting off the Wonderlock ability on Klefki, as well as turning off Unknown's Farewell Letter, one of the main ways to discard Pokemon, and getting rid of Eevee's Energy Evolution, keeping Evan from getting out those Espeons in a quicker way. And another clean Sycamore for 7 here, it looks like, on Evan's side of the field. He is drawing very well to start things off here. Looks like he did get an energy attachment down onto that Espeon, getting a double colorless on it. So he could bring that guy up and smack the Hoopa. I don't know that I would do that, though, just for the reason of making it easier for Anthony's to take a return knockout. If he's able to hit a Spirit Link and a Mega and a couple of energies here, he'd be able to hit for a one-hit knockout potentially. We do see there a Mega Turbo in his hand. He has had to get rid of a Mega Turbo and a Spirit Link, so maybe Evan is thinking there's no way he's going to be able to get that off this turn. So we'll see if Evan does bring up this Espeon and get an attack off. He could just pass. We'll just see what he ends up doing. We'll see a Wonderlock come down. So, oh, that does make sense, of course. The Wonderlock from Klefki making it so that as long as it is attached as a Pokemon tool card, Mega Pokemon cannot damage it, so Espeon will not be able to be knocked out by a Mewtwo. So this is actually a pretty safe attack here on Evan's part. Psychic would deal 60 damage, or 120 damage, excuse me, to the Hoopa EX since it is weak to Psychic. Then he could maybe clean that up later with a Divide GX. But he is just going to pass here, interestingly enough. So after using the Wonderlock, maybe I would have been okay seeing the attack there, but he just decided to pass here. So on to Anthony's turn. He's taking a look at his discard pile. He doesn't look super happy, but we'll see what he discards here. Looks like going down a Mega Turbo and a VS Seeker here, getting playing this Ultra Ball. This will probably grab another Mewtwo. Maybe he'll go for Trubbish or an Eevee of his own. I do believe he is playing that 1/1 Espeon line in his Mewtwo deck. So we'll see what he gets. He's eyeing down the Trubbish, and yeah, that is what he's going to grab. I do believe he had a VS Seeker, another VS Seeker in his hand, so we will probably see him play a Sycamore on this turn. And he's probably not going to be trying to knock out this Eevee. He could knock it out, but I don't think that it would do that much for him. But, I mean, if he draws into... So it's an interesting thing, because if he draws into the Spirit Link plus Mega plus a DCE, he could knock out the Eevee, but then he's just inviting his Mega Mewtwo to be one-hit knocked out in return by the Espeon on Evan's bench. So we'll see what he decides to do. He does get down a Spirit Link, does get a Mega. He wants to try to find another Mewtwo if he can. See what he finds here with his Trainer's Mail, looking for an Ultra Ball most likely. Mega Turbo is nice as well because he can attach an energy. He does already have energy in his discard pile, I know. So we'll see what he decides to do. If Evan is able to get 2 Espeons set up, this would be very difficult for Anthony to do much with. Having 2 Espeons set up is just really not good for Mega Mewtwo. It's very easy for them to take one-hit knockouts, and Mewtwo, let's see, in order to hit for a one-hit knockout, they would need 7 energy between the 2 Pokemon, so Mewtwo needs 4 energies on it, and if Mewtwo has more than 2 energies, Espeon will be able to just take a one-hit KO very easily. So we'll see if he plays the Mega Turbo. Maybe not. We might just see a pass. And yep, looks like we did just see a pass. Evan got rid of that Klefki, of course, and we see him top deck a Wobbuffet. He's got a DC in his hand. He will decide where to put this. Oh no, a Psychic as well. He could attach to the Vespiquen. He also could attach to the Espeon, but looks like he will just go ahead and put the Psychic down there. He's already down 1 double colorless, so I imagine he won't want a Sycamore here. He also has a Super Rod in his hand, so he could put back those Klefkis or something like that that are very useful. He's only discarded a few Pokemon, so Vespiquen's Be Revenge really won't be doing too much damage here at this point in the game. But later on down the road, definitely Be Revenge could be a very strong attack. So Super Rod here, I think all that's in there is the Vaporeon and Klefki. I don't think there's anything else, so looks like he is just going to put those back. And this is a situation where I think it would have been good for Evan to attack last turn. It was a pretty safe attack. Anthony wasn't going to be able to do much damage to his Espeon, since the most he could have done really was 60 with a Shatter Shot. So it would have been a pretty safe attack, and then putting 120 damage on this Hoopa means that later on down the road you can easily take a knockout on it with Divide GX on Espeon, or even a Be Revenge with only a few Pokemon in the discard pile, potentially. But we'll see what Evan decides to do here. He's already attached this turn, so we may just see like a Sycamore, maybe an N, something like that. Nope, looks like a Sycamore. Gets rid of a DCE and a Wobbuffet. So Wobbuffet being the only Pokemon in Evan's discard pile right now, and he's already down 2 double colorless energies. I'm sure he is playing Special Charge, though. Ways to get those back. So Unknown's Farewell Letter, he'll use that, and looks like he's going to go ahead and Wonderlock onto the Espeon, and he's going to bring that guy up and smack the Hoopa here, likely for 120 damage. Special Charge, so that'll put both of those DCEs back. So this is, like, if he had done this last turn, it would have forced Anthony to retreat this Hoopa to not get knocked out, or sacrifice it, and he would be taking a knockout this turn. And Evan certainly wouldn't mind knocking out the Garbodor or getting damage off on the Mewtwo. So this is, once again, I just feel like attacking in the last turn would have been a really strong play from Evan, but Here we'll see what he decides to do. He could divide GX this turn, I suppose, and knock out the Trubbish. And that is actually what he's going to do and put 3 damage counters on to the Mega Mewtwo, taking his prize. Evan does not want to deal with Trubbish. He knows that that can be very annoying to have to try to deal with the ability lock that Garbodor brings, not being able to use his Clef Keys, not being able to use his Unknowns, Shaymins. There's a lot of really... lot of abilities in his deck, of course. So Anthony is trying to figure out what to do here. He cannot knock out this Espeon, unfortunately, due to that Clef Key that is attached. He could Lysander this turn and try to take a knockout on the other one, but looks like he's going to Parallel City, force Evan to discard one of his Pokemon. He's just going to get rid of that Eevee, which seems fine to me, and we'll see a Mega Turbo here from Anthony, putting 1 energy onto the Mega Mewtwo on his bench. And looks like he's got a Sycamore in his hand. So he could have ended that turn, but I think the Sycamore is a fine play. Evan, doesn't have a huge hand necessarily, and Anthony really needs to draw some more cards here. So he does draw into Psychic Energy, it looks like. Is that another? I think another Trubbish in his hand, so benching that could definitely be good. Yep, he does sure enough get into another Trubbish. And he's got a Psychic Energy, trying to figure out where to attach it. I definitely don't think I would... Oh, no, it looks like he might actually Ultra Ball it. But I don't think I would put another energy on the Mega Mewtwo this turn. Oh, and there he's going to do it. So if Evan can get into a Lysander, he will be able to knock out that Mewtwo. So maybe I would have liked to have seen the energy go on the other Mewtwo, just spreading your energy around. This way, if Evan is able to find a Lysander this turn, he'll clear all of Anthony's energy off the board in just 1 turn. So we'll see if he's able to do that. Don't think he has it in his hand, so he's going to grab a Floatstone. Anthony may be safe here for a turn. And if Evan cannot bench another Klefki, and Anthony can get into 2 more energy attachments, like a double colorless plus a Mega Turbo. Or no, he actually just needs a double colorless. If he gets a double colorless down on this Mewtwo, he will be able to knock out this Espeon. So maybe that's what he was banking on, hoping that Evan wouldn't have the Lysander, but that is definitely a risk. So he is going to Sycamore, so his Mega Mewtwo will be safe for at least this turn. And Evan looks like... Oh, he plays a Kukui. That's very interesting. And, yeah, he draws into a lot of Pokemon here. He did have to get rid of most of his Ultra Balls early on, so not a lot of ways to get rid of them besides Sycamore now at this point. He cannot bench the Klefki that he has in his hand due to the Parallel City that Anthony played, limiting Evan's bench to 3 Pokemon. So he does not have an open bench spot to put that Klefki down. And now this is kind of a sticky situation for Evan. Not sure. If he had drawn into a double colorless, he might would have retreated and used Bee Revenge this turn, but he definitely wants to keep his Espeons safe because those are very important for him in this matchup, and if Anthony's able to knock out that Espeon, then that would put Evan pretty far behind. Oh, looks like he did draw into a double colorless. I thought he didn't, but now I definitely think we'll see either an Intelligence Gathering potentially or a Bee Revenge. And yep, sure enough, a Bee Revenge looks like coming out for 90 damage. Yep. And on to Anthony's turn. Top deck's an Ultra Ball, so he can get at least 1 more Mewtwo into play. If he's able to get a Lysander plus a double colorless, he will be able to knock out Evan's benched Espeon GX. That's definitely the play that he's going to want to try to have here. So let's see if he's able to pull it off. He does still have access to his Shaymins. There is no Garbodor out yet. So he's just going to survey his hand. He does have the Garbodor in his hand, it looks like, so he can go ahead and evolve it, but the Garbotoxin ability, of course, doesn't do anything unless he has a tool attached. He is going to attach a DCE to the Mewtwo, it looks like, so maybe not going to be going for the knockout on that Espeon like I had originally thought. But we'll see what he does. So he's got an Ultra Ball, deciding what to get rid of. Gets rid of an Espeon and another Ultra Ball. I think he still has his Super Rod in the deck, so he can definitely get back his Espeon at some point. We could see him. He's eyeing down the Eevee. He could also grab a Mega Mewtwo here, go ahead and get another Mega. He did discard one, so there is a chance that his third Mega Mewtwo EX is in his prize cards. So that might be why he's eyeing down this Eevee. And that also might be why he decided to attach the double colorless onto the Mewtwo on the other Mewtwo that's not Mega Evolved, he knows that, hey, I've already discarded one of my Megas. I've only got one in play. One is in my prize cards. If I knock out this Espeon and Evan has a double colorless to return knock me out, I'm going to be in a very bad position. So that might be his thinking there, just having two Mewtwo's with energies on them just in case. But we'll see if that's the case. Does he draw into another Mega? Is he able to find his Super Rod to put it back? Let's see what happens. Looks like he's got a couple double colorless energies in his hand. Definitely not something he wants to see. He hasn't played a supporter yet this turn, so we could see him in or something of that sort. And I can't tell what he just drew into with that Trainer's Mail. I think there's another Baby Mewtwo EX. I don't think we saw the Mega. And looks like he does just grab an Ed. He has not played a supporter, so he can play that card if he wants to. He has drawn a lot of cards this turn, but that was through the use of his Shaman EX. So let's see what he tries to set up. Looks like he didn't get into the Lysander either way, so even if he had gone in on the Mewtwo play of trying to... or no, there's a VS Seeker there, so if he has a Lysander in his discard, it might have worked there, but... definitely might have been a risky play to go in and attach the double colorless to the Mega Mewtwo and try to dig for the Lysander. That might be the play I would have gone for, but we'll see how this pays off for Anthony. His decision here to play this out the way he has. He sees a Sycamore, he sees a Mega Mewtwo Spirit Link, and a VS Seeker. Deciding what to take here with this Trainer's Mail. We know he has the N in his hand, so yeah, he's just going to go ahead and play the N. He's not going to get anything off the Trainer's Mail. And yeah, looks like Evan just wanted to check something in Anthony's discard pile, but we're going to go ahead. These guys are both going to shuffle in. Anthony will get 6 cards, and Evan will get 5 cards. And it looks like they just had to adjust the table there. So it'll be risky for Anthony to come up. I don't think he would want to come up and take a knockout on this Vespiquen. If he did that, he's just offering up one of his Mewtwo's and a free 2 prizes to Evan, to that Espeon GX that is on the bench. So definitely a tricky spot here for Anthony. He may retreat his Hoopa and sacrifice either the Eevee or maybe the Garbodor, but we'll see what he draws here off of this end. We see another Mewtwo there, it looks like. I think a Shrine of Memories in his hand. I don't think he wants to play that right now. But we'll see what he does. Looks like a Super Rod, so he will get back one of his Megas, which is good. And looks like that Espeon as well. And a Basic Energy if he has one. He may not have any more in his discard. He has already played 1 Mega Turbo. He did have to discard 2 other Mega Turbos, unfortunately, so that is not good. Oh no, he has a Trubbish down there he'll put back. But discarding those Mega Turbos early could definitely be a factor later on down the road. Not being able to recover multiple energies in one turn could hurt Anthony a lot later on in this game, but we'll see what happens here. I think that we will... I would be very surprised if we saw Anthony attack with his Mega Mewtwo this turn, so... Yep, he is just going to pass, so I guess sacrificing the Hoopa EX here. He values the Garbodor still. He values the Eevee still. He doesn't want to have Evan take a free prize on one of those things. He'd rather go ahead and give up the 2 prizes and still have access to his Garbodor. He knows how important that can be to get rid of the Clef Keys, and he probably still wants Espeon maybe to get off some confusion or something later on down the road. Looks like we're going to just see a Kukui here from Evan. Very interesting. Does get another double colorless, so he can have 2 Espeons totally ready to go, which that is definitely not what Anthony wanted to see, and we will just see a B-Revenge from Evan taking a knockout onto the Hoopa EX, and let's see what Anthony decides to promote here. He may have... I'm not sure if there's a Lysander in his discard pile. I don't think there is, actually. So he may just have not seen them yet from his deck. They may also be in his prize cards, which would definitely be unfortunate. But looks like Anthony's just going to go ahead and promote the Garbodor. He did draw into a Psychic Energy, so he can definitely use that Eevee's Energy Evolution ability this turn if he wants to. He does have a double colorless as well. The Garbodor cannot retreat unless he puts a Floatstone on it. So that is likely stuck here. I didn't see a Floatstone in his hand. He may just be saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and let you take a knockout on this guy. But he does have a VS Seeker in his hand, so he could Sycamore. He could in. I think we would probably see an in. And looks like, yep, that is indeed what he's going to go for. Going to go for that in. put Evan down to just 3 cards remaining, and Anthony is still going to get 6 cards. Hasn't been able to take a prize card yet. And things are definitely looking very good for Evan here. 2 fully powered Espeon GXs on the bench. If he's worried about a potential confusion from Anthony's opposing Espeon GX, he could just attack with the Espeon that has a Float Stone and then just retreat into the other one if he was to be confused. So definitely, I think Evan's position is much, much better here at this point. Still doesn't have a ton of Pokemon in the discard pile, but that doesn't really matter for Evan here in this matchup. He can easily just take knockouts with his Espeons. And I think we see 1 Lysander in Evan's hand, so he was able to find one, or in Anthony's hand, excuse me. So he was able to find one now. But let's see what Evan is able to do here. If he has a Lysander in his hand, we would probably see him bring up that Mega Mewtwo on the bench. I do think I see one. So off that end of 3, he was able to draw a Lysander. And this is going to be just brutal, and brings up that Mega Mewtwo and takes a knockout here. It looks like with the Psychic Attack, does enough damage. He already had 30 on him, but that didn't matter. It still does enough. Anthony is going to bring up the Espeon. It does have just a 1 retreat, so he can easily retreat it, potentially, if he wanted to. Unfortunately, confusing Evan with Psybeam isn't really going to do anything. Because he does have a Float Stone, which means he can retreat into the other Espeon. And if Evan has a Lysander in his hand and Anthony does not play an in this turn, all Evan has to do is Lysander the Mewtwo EX that's on the bench. And yeah, it looks like Anthony's just going to go ahead and scoop it up, saying, I don't think I have a win condition at this point. Evan has 1 prize remaining. Anthony was not able to really get anything going there, and Evan just had a very fast start. The 2 Espeon GXs getting powered up by the 3rd turn was just a little too much for Anthony to try to do anything with, so that is going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned later on for more from this League Cup, and leave a like down below if you enjoyed. And until next time, guys, take care.